So let's bring in one of our representatives, see what they're up to, see the dedication that we have from our men and women in Congress. Republican Congressman from Iowa, Steve King. Congressman, always a pleasure. And I must report, you did go to the border. You did check out the situation. What did you learn?
Well, we traveled all the way from the mouth of the Rio Grande River there at the Gulf of Mexico on up to Laredo, stopped in at multiple locations in Brownsville and McAllen and on up to Laredo, as close as we could get to the border by road all the way, and visited with civilians, regular people there on the ground that have lived there for years, as well as with all of the agents in uniform and federal employees and others. I learned this. Yes, there is a mass of humanity coming across the border. We all knew that. As we walked through the facilities, the detention centers and the distribution centers that they have, there were some things that shocked me deeply that I did not expect to hear. And I'm going to put this together as essentially a consensus rather than going to a specific location. But it's this, that of the unaccompanied alien children, 57,000 of them so far this fiscal year as of June 15th, well over 60, probably over 70,000 by now. They were running about 80% boys, 20% girls. That number has shifted, a higher percentage of girls now. But a very high percentage of girls are given birth control pills before they send them on their journey up the train of death on the beast to get to the river and then to pay a coyote to give them a ride across, because the families expect the girl to be raped on the way, and the sexual abuse reported to us by the workers is in the area of 1/3 to 70%, especially of the girls, and perhaps equal numbers of boys. However, there are a lot more boys than girls. It just sickens me to think.
It's disgusting, especially given how true it is, but it is a sign of the desperation. Let me ask you, I got lost in your statement there a little bit. Did you visit the kids?
We did visit the kids. We went to a center in Brownsville that had not received any visits from members of Congress. It is a HHS center, a private contractor, not-for-profit organization. They were built and up online, up open for business January 23rd of this year. Housed 188 kids, ages 10 to 17, 44 girls and 144 boys. And we learned a lot there. They spend enough time with them.
How are the conditions?
The conditions were good. I have to say that everybody that is treating and serving people down there is doing everything they can with the resources they have and the resources that they can garner. And that includes the Border Patrol. Yes, they have holding cells, and those holding cells have been there for some time. That hasn't changed, but they moved people out into a warehouse that was retrofitted for people. And I saw different separation panels there with kids that were sorted by age, by sex. They had HA workers playing soccer in air-conditioned buildings. That's going on. That's the American compassion, Chris.
And it's very important, because that's who we are, Congressman, right? I mean, even in bad situations, we always treat people with dignity and respect. It's one of the things the country wants to be known for. And as terrible as it is what you're reporting to us about these families who may be giving their kids birth control pills because of the horror they expect to befall, especially the girls, little change of heart for you? I mean, you know, obviously you keep getting reminded of what you had said about cantaloupe-sized calves and that these people were drug runners, these kids were drug runners. You feel differently now?
Well, not since I've measured the cantaloupes and measured the calves. No, that's an accurate statement, Chris. So that part doesn't change. It was the truth when I said it, and it's subjective, and it's even more objectively true today.
You still believe most of these families are sending their kids up here to be drug runners? That's what most of those kids are?
Never said that, Chris. That was the liberal press that put that out. I never said that. I was talking exclusively about drug smugglers.
I know.
I characterized drug smugglers, and you know, on the left just decided, well, we're going to turn that into something else.
You said for everyone that's a valedictorian, there are 100 out there who weigh 130 pounds and have calves the size of cantaloupes because they're hauling 75 pounds of marijuana.
Dick Durbin has not uttered the word valedictorian since I made that statement, because he knows I'm right.
But you know that that's not the way.
Check the LexisNexis. It's true.
There's no way that you can prove that statement that you said. My point is, I'm giving you a chance to modify the humanity of the opinion.
You have to show me the first valedictorian, and then I need to find you the first 100 drug smugglers. They're all over the internet. A 12-year-old kid with 80 pounds of marijuana on his back was the youngest one in a group of 4, and he had the heaviest load. 75 pounds of marijuana is what I said.
You saw those kids down there. You saw those young boys and girls. You know they're not here to smuggle drugs. You know these kids were sent by their families to find a better way of life. Don't play politics with those people.
I didn't say they were here to smuggle drugs. I didn't say that.
Well, what does that mean,
we have
then?
drugs. We have drug smugglers coming across the border every single night. We have thousands of pounds of marijuana coming across the border. It is on the backs of young people that fit the very demographic of some of those that are in these facilities now. And we need to understand that there are billions of dollars of drugs coming into the United States.
No question.
And many of the people that are carrying them across will fit into the dreamer category, just like those that are in those holding facilities that I saw.
But you know
that's what I'm talking about.
But you know now, having seen their faces and seen those kids, that you know they shouldn't be used as pawns in a political game, and that gets us to the fix. So I'm starting a hashtag here at New Day today. It's called Fix or Stay. You can't let your brothers and sisters in Congress leave for vacation without fixing that problem down there when you're also outraged, can you?
I think we should fix it. I think we should first articulate this clearly. This is a man-caused disaster. And the man that caused it is Barack Obama, with his DACA policy, with his Morton memos, and the advertisement that has been such a huge magnet that have caused these families to give their daughters birth control pills and send them down a rape path all the way through Mexico. And it's a death path on the death train,
It's horrible. You've identified the problem, so fix it.
And so the president is the one who can fix it, but here's what Congress can do.
You can't fix. Oh, good. What can you do?
What Congress can do is pass a resolution that identifies the problem. I actually don't think we're going to get that to the floor, but we should do that. And the second thing that we can do is send money to the states to call up their National Guard to secure the border. There was a universal statement that came all across that border, and 90% of the civilians I talked to are Hispanic. Everyone said, you have to send them back or they will keep coming. The only way is to send them back. So I say treat them humanely. Make sure that we don't send them into the United States. We do have to send them back. So let's fix the 2008 bill. That is partly a reason and partly an excuse. They're being distributed across the country. That 2008 fix and a fix to the asylum language will help. And then we have to shut off any funds from developing any future DACA amnesty. And do those two things. And that does the most good that we can do and the strongest message we can send. But I can tell you, Harry Reid's not going to take it up. The president's not going to sign it.
Both sides have to be pressured. Both sides have to be pressured to make a deal. I mean, every time, you've been pushing the impeachment thing for President Obama. At least he wants to do something. Shouldn't members of Congress be censured if you go on vacation without bringing forward at least a resolution of the problem?
I am not pushing impeachment. What I'm doing is trying to deter the president from violating the Constitution in a way we have never seen in the history of this country. That's what that part of it is.
You have suggested impeachment.
I have said that if the president continues to violate the Constitution, if he should, with the stroke of his pen, as he's threatening to do, floating his trial balloons this last week, should decide that he's going to grant amnesty in a lawless way, we've all taken an oath to uphold the Constitution, and I wouldn't want some member of Congress that would say whatever the president does, no matter how bad it is, we're not going to use the constitutional obligation we have.
Impeachment. Yeah, but I mean, look, the Article 2 is pretty clear. I mean, this isn't treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. You're playing politics with impeachment. I want to play it with Congress.
Congress defines high crimes and misdemeanors. Congress defines that.
Yeah, good. You should define it for yourselves, because you should not go on vacation before fixing this.
I don't want to go down that path. I want the president to operate in a lawful manner and in a constitutional manner. I'm trying to encourage him to do that. And we should both do that, and the people on the other side of the aisle should say to the president, I've taken an oath to uphold the Constitution. Don't put me in that position either, Mr. President. You have no constitutional authority to make up law out of thin air. Defy the Constitution, defy the Congress. He's doing that. He's taunting Congress.
And we've
never had that happen.
One of the reasons he is doing it, not to defend the president's position, but to look at it in context, is what we're seeing right now. You guys have to get things done. You're about to go on vacation for a month after you just toured the border and saw all these horrors. You have to get something done.
You get up early, so I don't need to give you a wake-up call every time I go to work back in Iowa over the vacation, Chris. But can you imagine, though, the President of the United States saying to Congress, I think that you should have passed this law, and so since you haven't, then I'm going to violate the Constitution and do what I want to do. That's what he is saying when he waves his cell phone in his hand at us.
So take it away from him by getting it done yourselves. You are your own solution.
Simply pass what the president commands, or watch him violate the Constitution and then not do anything about it?
Make your own deal. You said you want to at least pass a resolution about what the problem is and the potential fixes. You said you may not even get that done. You can't even get a resolution on the problem? Come on.
I'm telling you, I am working to get the deal made. And we're very close on that. And some of those negotiations I'm not going to talk about on the air this morning because it might throw it off a balance.
Well, I don't want
that. I'll tell you this, that I think we're close to getting the DACA language in there that would prohibit, if it ever became law, the president from violating the law and giving creating groups of people and giving them a pass on immigration law. We're close to getting that. And we are, I believe, able to get some funding that can go to the National Guard, although I think it should go directly to the states because the president will not secure the border any more likely than he's going to build the Keystone XL pipeline.
The president has identified the need to secure the border several times. How to get it done is going to largely come down to what you guys can agree on. That's all. Fix or stay.
The president wouldn't even visit the border. And they don't have any desire to do this one.
Fair criticism, but he has been sensitive to the situation, but he didn't visit the way you did. You have to get kudos for that.
Well, I wanted to see it hands-on and look in people's eyes that are down there and they're suffering, Chris. And when you see that, when you see little babies and they're in there and they're nursing in a cell with a scattered group of people that haven't had a chance to take a shower in a while, they're going to get one in a few hours. I will say. Border Patrol is doing a good job. CBP is doing a good job. But when you see that happen, you have to understand that this human tragedy and calamity started because there's this huge magnet created by the president's policies, and these families are sending their daughters up through 2,000 miles of Central America down a channel of people who are between 30 and 70% of them will be raped along the way. And that is a human tragedy.
That is a human tragedy.
So we have to send them back. That means fix the 2008 bill. It means fix the amnesty language that they are exploiting right now and get the resources also down there to help out and give them a hand when they need it.
So figure out a way to fix this before you go on vacation, and remember that these kids coming up are not the enemy. They deserve respect and dignity. It is good to hear you say that, Congressman. We'll be very anxious to see what you get done before you go on vacation.
We might get it done today, and mine won't be a vacation. I've got a work day. My staff's been working on my schedule.
It sounds like a vacation, Congressman. You better not come back with a tan. No, thank you very much for joining us on New Day.